I'm so bored. I need to carry for the Holy Durr Burger.
Anything but Silk Song, please!
As long as I get my slimy booty, I'll take anything.
Calm down, Yoda.
Alright, what the game shall we do next? How about the Superman 64?
No way! That's one of the worst games of all time!
Oh yeah, that's very true. How about we do Super Mario Sunshine?
Luigi, we already did that game!
Ah, damn it, I forgot.
Anyways, I have a much better idea, everybody. How about we do a Zelda game? More specifically, Ocarina of Time. Wait, this isn't Ocarina of Time.
Zelda is Zelda. Just put the game in.
Might as well put it in. Let's see what happens, even though it magically came out of nowhere.
This doesn't seem right.
Is that Shigeru Miyamoto?
You all have been chosen to be a part of the Wind Waker adventure, where you will talk about the game and go through its trials. You will all now be transported into the game.
Did he say transported into the game?
My Soviet hat!
My katana!
I can't hold on much longer!
The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The one-time Nintendo openly supported piracy. I'm sure that aged very well.
Wait! The Nintendo Glitches! No! No!
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be covering The Wind Waker, a Zelda game that is beloved but also teared a fanbase apart. This is one complex game, even though it looks like a game for babies that can't handle the more mature, badass, manly Zeldas, for people like me, right? Now before we get into the game itself, we should go back in time and cover the game's history and development. The story of The Wind Waker began back in the year 2000. At the time, Zelda as a franchise was in a great spot. Ocarina of Time, the first 3D Zelda, released 2 years prior in 1998 on the Nintendo 64 and was a smash success and became one of the most impactful games in history. And in 2000, Ocarina of Time would get a direct sequel being Majora's Mask, also released on the Nintendo 64. But you needed the expansion pack to actually run the game because it was too much for the base system to handle. Majora's Mask also did great despite reusing the same engine and assets, but hey, if it works, why fix it? If only more companies understood that philosophy. Majora's Mask released at the tail end of the Nintendo 64's life, as Project Dolphin, which would become the GameCube, was in full swing at the time. We would get the first major glimpse of the system at Space World 2000 that showed a bunch of upcoming GameCube games like Luigi's Mansion, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and a new Zelda? These announcements made everyone lose their shit.
Okie dokie, it's a Green Mario!
The Zelda footage showed Link and Ganondorf fighting, and you can also notice it's basically an upgrade Ocarina of Time graphically. This clip resonated with critics and audiences, hoping this would be the next Zelda game. However, this would not be the case, as the Zelda team rushed out the clip just to show off that, hey, our favorite green elf will be on the GameCube. The clip has been done just to experiment with the new technology of the GameCube. Eiji Aonuma, the series director, even hated the test clip because of how close it looked to the N64 games. With full development now underway, the team now had to explore where to take Zelda next. This would be answered by Yoshiki Haruhana, who created a cartoonish art depicting Link, which caught everyone's eyes. Now with the cartoon art style decided, thanks to its potential in design and gameplay, the team would use cel shading graphics technology to pull this off, manipulating 3D models to look more cartoonishly 2D while keeping them 3D. It's quite impressive. They pulled this off by using Wavefront's Maya 3D tool, which, wait a second, Maya, as in the Mayan Empire? So they not only created the calendar that thought to end the world in 2012, but also helped create Wind Waker? Does that mean Wind Waker would also end the world? Many at Nintendo, like producer Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who made Stanley from Donkey Kong 3, and in my Minecraft world, as well as Takahashi Tezuka, were not big fans of the cartoonish style in the beginning. Speaking of big, Miyamoto was concerned about Link's large eyes, and Aonuma said, jokingly,
Link shoots lasers out of his eyes.
many ideas would be conceptualized like an aging Link, but unfortunately these ideas never came into fruition, mainly because of time constraints. The ocean setting of the game was inspired by the cartoon associating art style, which in turn created the sailing mechanics of the game, which was something Nintendo had wanted to really do for years with wind physics, like how there's windy Mario levels for example, but the technology just wasn't there yet until GameCube. Fun fact, the game's companion boat, the King of Red Lions, was partly based off director Aonuma's relationship with his newborn son. The dialogue of the King of Red Lions was based off how Aonuma would talk to his son, which he would regret in the future because he felt like the boat had a self-important attitude and forced Link against his will to do his dirty work. That's messed up. Nintendo would present a demo clip of Wind Waker at Space World 2001. And how exactly did people react?
Alright everybody, I think we're about to get the new Zelda, which we've been waiting for such a long time now.
We have literally waited 2 years for this.
Actually, it's only been a couple of months since the Oracle games.
Somebody get this guy out of here.
game is coming out. Ah!
What's up, Jacob?
I need Zelda now!
Can't wait to see how big Zelda's slimy booty is this time.
Better look realistic, or I'm taking everyone's kills tonight.
Look, it's starting! It's Miyamoto!
Hello, my name is Shigeru Miyamoto, which hopefully you know that because I am responsible for everything. Anyways, here is the next entry to the Legend of Zelda series. Enjoy.
It's a cartoon?
This is where the fun begins.
That's it. I'm taking all your kills.
Yeah!
Wait, no.
go!
Billy, stop it!
My turn.
Oh god! Oh!
Where's my slimy booty?
Let's go.
Everybody calm down. Trust me, I didn't like it either, but it'll grow. Wait, what are you doing up here? You! How dare you ruin Zelda! What? Are you serious? I will have revenge. What is happening? Transform! You will now pay for what you have done. Attack! No! Ah! Help, Aonuma! Help me!
People were pissed. They hated the cartoon art style of the game because it looked too kiddie and aimed at kids, not for the hardcore Nintendo gamers. Critics also hated it, even giving Wind Waker the nickname Zelda because of the art style. After the original clip from Space World 2000, fans expected a realistic Zelda, a mature, violent, dark Zelda, which they would get 4 years later. Nintendo themselves were shocked at the reception, but continued with its development nonetheless. Yeah, the complete uproar of Wind Waker caused Space World to literally die. The game would later get a playable demo at E3 2002, which was received better and even got the 2002 Game Critics Award for Best Console Game at E3. Though, even with that, many people were still divided on the art style. During final stages of development, 2 entire dungeons were cut and replaced by this nightmare of a fucking quest. Nintendo would then announce the official title being The Wind Waker in late 2002 to emphasize how critical of a role the wind played in the game. The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker would officially release on December 13th, 2002 in Japan, March 24th, 2003 in North America, May 2nd, 2003 in Europe, and May 7th, 2003 in Australia. The gap between Japan and North America happened so the team could rework some parts of the game, most notably the Triforce Quest segment, by making it a little easier. But even then, it was still as long as Chile, so how long was the Japanese version? Oh god. Yeah, no wonder the Japanese are better gamers. They can handle Tingle's trolls and they westernized in only a few decades. The game upon release was met with critical acclaim, and many loved this new entry into the franchise. Even the divisive visuals were praised, being compared to animated Disney films. Design, story, and gameplay were also highly praised. The biggest criticism of the game was the sailing, many feeling it got very tedious and even slow. There would also be a GameCube Wind Waker bundle, and to promote its release offered a pre-order bonus being a GameCube port of Ocarina of Time, and the Master Quest being a more difficult version with new content, originally supposed to release on the Nintendo 64 DD as Euro Zelda. The Nintendo 64 DD ended up being a flop, so Euro Zelda became the Master Quest. There would be yet another bonus, that being the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, including Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, and a 20-minute playable demo of the Wind Waker. Man, poor Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and the Oracle games. The Family Outcasts. This collection will be bundled with GameCubes or even subscribing to Nintendo Power, which yes, was still around in the 2000s. Even during the Wii era, which is kind of insane. Now let's get into the game itself. And wait, I don't have the game. Well, let's check out the aftermarket.
Alright, let's go! I can't wait to get Wind Waker. I'm so excited. Let's go, let's see. Let's do eBay first. Let's do eBay. Alright, let's head on over to eBay, and hopefully we get some good prices for Wind Waker on the GameCube. So, I guess we'll type in Wind Waker GameCube, alright? Hopefully some good prices. And $95? That's almost $100! $54 for just the $106. What? $54 for just $6,100. Wind Waker? $100 for Wind Waker. It's not even with Metro Edition. It's 9.5. No, I can't. No.
A few minutes later.
Do you ever just look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
Council, you need to listen to me. Everybody listen. These prices are outrageous and it's unfair. How am I supposed to make a Wind Waker retrospective if I don't even have the game? It's ridiculous.
Take a seat, young Dylan.
What do you mean, take a seat? What are you talking about? Oh my god. A dolphin.
I emulated Wind Waker. Yeah, hopefully Miyamoto doesn't hunt me down. Here we are, the main menu of the Wind Waker, and man, is it great, with the music and the overview of what's to come. Then you go to, of course, the file selection screen, each file being basically like the previous games, where you get to name Link. I chose Dylan, the Celtic god of the sea, and not because it's my actual name. It's because it's my actual name. The files also showcase your main collectibles and hearts, just like in the past, representing your progress. Now let's get into the story, and oh boy, there's a lot of lore to cover. The game begins telling of a legend of a hero dressed in green who long ago saved the kingdom of Hyrule from the grips of an evil man by sealing him to the sacred realm with the blade of evil's bane. This hero would be known as the Hero of Time, who was the Link of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. This legend is obviously the same story from Ocarina of Time. The evil man who was Ganondorf would one day escape from the sacred realm. He would seek to take back Hyrule with darkness, and the people hoped for the Hero of Time to return. But since that Link was sent back to his own time at the end of Ocarina of Time, he wouldn't be able to return to fight once more. Due to this, King Daphne's Johansson of Hyrule, what is he, a combination of Greek and Swedish? That's a pretty badass combo. After failing to stop Ganondorf, decided with the help of the people to pray to the gods and leave the kingdom to the fates. Which, yeah, better hope some angry tattooed Spartan doesn't decide to kill the Hyrulean gods and fates, because then you're truly fucked. Which is pretty ironic considering the gods instructed the people to climb to the mountaintops and would then fill Hyrule to seal Ganondorf and his minions, as well as the Master Sword, into the ocean. Literally Greece. As time went on, civilization resettled on the new islands, and the memory of the Kingdom of Hyrule would fade, but its legacy would remain for generations to come. Centuries after the events of Ocarina of Time, we arrive on Outset Island, and we play as a young boy, also named Link. Honestly, I'm just expecting Nintendo to make a multiversal crossover of all the 30 billion Links from all the games. Anyways, Link's birthday is today, and he is now of age to wear a green tunic, resembling the hero of time, which is a tradition on Outset Island. Yeah, Link looks very happy about this, but hey, he does get his sister Ariel's telescope. That should cheer him up, because he can now spot giant birds carrying weight. A girl? After the bird gets shot at by the pirates, drops the girl, and Link sets out to find her in some forest. So what is she, some kind of fish disguised as a Hylian?
That would actually be pretty funny though. Imagine if Tetra was actually disguised as somebody else. I mean, that wouldn't be possible, right? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. Oh my god, she's actually a fish, but she's a princess. Ah!
As they head back, Link's sister Ariel is suddenly kidnapped by the giant bird. A Rito informs Link and Tetra about the location of the kidnapped children at Forsaken Fortress. So Tetra reluctantly decides to tag Link along to help with her pirate crew, and Link's journey begins.
Ahoy me mateys! Traveling the Great Sea to help this boy right here rescue his sister is a very noble thing for us pirates. Get out of here! See, that's why being a pirate is so amazing.
Arg! What are you doing on our ship?
Wait, stop!
Get him!
No, stop! Wait,
Time to drown for beating a child! Arg! Throw him!
No!
Link and the pirates arrive at Forsaken Fortress, and instead of the pirates aiding Link in his infiltration, they just shoot him out of a cannon to the fortress, which realistically, you'd get a major concussion. But this is a cartoon, not real life, so who cares, right? Link sneaks through the fortress and finally finds the cell his sister is being kept in. Unfortunately, Link is discovered and is cast out far into sea. Link is then recovered by the King of Red Lions, who tells Link about Ganondorf being in control of the fortress and how he escaped his sealing. He tells how a powerful sword, one that seals the darkness, being the Master Sword, is the only way to seal Ganondorf once more. The only way to obtain the Master Sword is to collect 3 Goddess Pearls, and Link agrees so he can save his sister. He is also gifted the Wind Waker, and no, not the game, in the game, but a magical baton capable of changing the wind's direction. And with that, Link would travel to new islands.
Hey, look, an elf.
These two of which being very important later on, conquering dungeons, spying on pirates, blowing up giant walls, all culminating in Link obtaining all the pearls, and with that, a massive tower appears known as the Tower of the Gods. And of course, Link conquers that dungeon. He eventually gets to the top and rings a giant bell which creates a passage to the long-forgotten kingdom of Hyrule. And everything is black and white. What is this, the Gilded Age of Zelda? Link explores what was once Hyrule Castle and eventually finds the Master Sword, the weapon that once saved Hyrule and helped create the highest rated game of all time. Link returns to Forsaken Fortress, defeats the Helmrock King, and with the help of Tetra and her pirate crew, is able to rescue his sister and all the other captured children. But that is not all. Link then confronts Ganondorf. For the first real time, Link proceeds to pull an Anakin move, arrogantly tries to strike down Ganondorf. Now, this did not work. This was due to the fact the Master Sword no longer sealed his magic, and the Lost Kingdom of Hyrule is given the flow of time once more. Because Link removed it from the pedestal, It was basically a Raiders of the Lost Ark moment, but instead of the dungeon collapsing, the power to slay evil collapsed. And with the lost power of the Master Sword, Link gets his ass kicked, but Tetra comes in to save our hero, though Ganondorf also kicks her ass. However, his Triforce of Power appears and realizes that Tetra has another piece, being the Triforce of Wisdom, which belongs historically to Zelda. But this can't be Zelda, right? Ganondorf is convinced it's Zelda, but he doesn't have enough time to really deal with that because Star-Lord and Giant Dragon Prince Kamali save Link and Tetra, and the tower, along with Ganondorf, are engulfed in flames. The King of Red Lions takes Link and Tetra back to the castle under the sea, and reveals they are in the Kingdom of Hyrule. The boat also reveals he is actually the former and last King of Hyrule, Daphne Zohansen Hyrule. Tetra's identity is then revealed to be Princess Zelda. But how is that possible? You're telling me Zelda is a pirate? Doing pirate things? No way. She's supposed to be a good, kind, sophisticated, and royal princess, right? Not some dirty, bloody pirate. This was the I am your father moment of Zelda. It blew everyone's minds. Even Tetra is shocked and she didn't even know. The king instructs Link to return to the surface and restore the Master Sword's power, and reunite the Triforce of Courage, which was split when the Hero of Time returned back to his time. To restore the Master Sword's power, Link must restore the sages of Earth and Wind, who were destroyed by Ganondorf, and so Link must find replacements who descend from those sages. These replacements being Medli of the Rito and Makar of the Koroks. And holy shit, the Rito are actually descendants of the Zora. You're telling me that fish people somehow evolved into birds, even though they are vastly different? To be fair, if we're going by evolution, if we go back millions of years ago, life on Earth started in the ocean, and then evolved into, going onto land, and then eventually the sky. So maybe Nintendo was onto something there. Now, if the Rito are descendants of the Zora, explain how the Zora and the Rito coexist in Breath of the Wild. Are they not the same as the originals? But then you have Koroks in Breath of the Wild who look exactly like they did in Wind Waker. Alright, so you're telling me this. We have these Zora, right, which are completely different to these Zora. And these Zora, it don't matter, so they can screw off. And then these Zora, they turn into birds called the Rito. But these Rito are not the same Rito as these Rito, even though they're called Rito. And they coexist, right? These Ritos coexist with these Zoras, right? Which is what the Rito evolved from, which makes no sense. And you have the Koroks from Wind Waker that are the exact same, that exist in the same time as whatever the hell's going on here. So what the hell was Miyamoto thinking?
I'm the creator! Ah!
With Medli and Makar becoming the new sages of Earth and Wind, along with Link conquering the temples, and then going on a horrible Triforce Beast quest, the Master Sword and the Triforce of Courage are both restored, as it becomes part of Link, bestowed by the gods, naming Link as the Hero of Time's successor, becoming the Hero of Winds due to using wind in his journey. The Hero of Winds heads back to Hyrule and finds out Ganondorf kidnapped Zelda and took her to his tower. Link heads to the tower and overcomes its trials, and he finds Ganondorf and a sleeping Zelda under a spell. Ganondorf and Link proceed to battle, and then Ganondorf loses, takes Zelda, while Link follows, who then gets caught off guard. Ganondorf summons the pieces of the Triforce of all three to create the full Triforce. Ganondorf wishes for Hyrule to be exposed again under his rule. However, the King of Hyrule appears and touches the Triforce before Ganondorf could, and wishes for Ganondorf and Hyrule Kingdom to remain buried under the sea, and wishes for Link and Zelda to bring about a better world even without Hyrule. After this, Link and awakened Zelda battle Ganondorf, and with a swift stroke of the Master Sword, Ganondorf and the evils are destroyed once more. I wouldn't want a giant Ganondorf stone rolling after me, just saying. The king gives his farewells, wishing for the duo to create a better world, and not to look back at the old. Link and Zelda are then sent back to the open sea. Zelda returns to her Tetra look, and the pirates, along with Link's sister, Ariel, and then of course Medley and Makar await them. Link and Tetra sail away with their crew to discover new lands and create the Pirate Republic, which yes was historically an actual thing. And Link and Tetra totally started the Pirate Republic. Totally, trust me on that. The story of this game is pretty great, even if it does keep the Zelda cliche of a young boy going on a perilous journey through blistering cold and scorching deserts, traveling for many days and nights, risking life and limb to reach Ganondorf's Keep and climb to the highest room of the tallest tower to save the princess. But it does switch things up and creates really interesting plot twists to keep you going forward, and its connections to Ocarina of Time does make this feel like a true successor to that game. Now on to the world of the Wind Waker, and man is it vast! It puts the Pacific Ocean to shame. The Wind Waker's world makes it the first true open world Zelda in 3D. Why? Because you can go anywhere. The entire sea is in your hands to explore.
Oh my god!
You see that island? You can go there. You see that tower? You can go there. You see that submarine? You can board it. You see that dumbass? Well, you can fish it.
That's incredible!
You can quite literally go anywhere to your heart's desire. This is in contrast to the past installments. Whenever you would go to any other area, there would usually be a cutoff so that the game could load the next area, which can make those games not feel as open as they could be. Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time was the only real open world-ish area, but it really just served as the main connector of Hyrule. Which, to be fair, the Great Sea is like that as well, but it is much more natural than Hyrule Field. And you know what else is in the middle of the map? Yep, and here come the British, about to colonize the entire Great Sea. It's their thing after all. Why do you think all these characters speak in English? It's cause they were colonized. The Great Sea, on the contrary, has no cutoffs, making the world feel large and grand. Plus, there's actually things to do in the Great Sea, like fighting enemies. Major enemy encounters that feel very epic, like the Krakens, to the point where they feel like bosses, which is really amazing. Doing mini-games like this Flying Rito mission where you have to keep flight for as long as you can until you reach the end. Finding collectibles like heart pieces, which, yes, have returned as they function just like the previous games. Collect 4 heart pieces and voila! A heart container, giving you more health. There's 44 scattered around the world to find. There's also treasure you can find in the sea, and tornadoes, which if you get caught in one, will send you to another portion of the world. What is this, Oklahoma? Oh, and there's a weather system as well as a day-night cycle, which, to be fair, the day-night cycle was in previous installments. But either way, that's pretty cool. All of these variables make the Great Sea feel very alive, which is important for an open world game. Bethesda and Todd Howard should probably take a few notes.
More people that get involved, the more people who are investing, the more money we're all going to make. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not even a scheme per se.
I have to go make a call.
The Great Sea consists of 49 explorable islands. These islands range from big to small. The major islands of the game have the most to offer, so let's take a detour. First, Outset Island, the island where you start the game and home to Link. This island is actually made of 2 islands. Holy shit! Is Link from New Zealand? That explains the Kiwis.
You're not going anywhere! Ah, yeah! I got the Kiwi!
This island has a few houses, a forest, and home to the water spirit, Jabun. Next, Windfall Island, home to the biggest population of all of the islands, is a market island where you can play games like Battleship, which I'll admit was pretty cool, but I was completely ass at it. There's also shops to buy things from, which means there's capitalism. And how exactly does that work?
Welcome to Homer Simpson's Dope Shop of Dope! How may I help you folks?
Hello, we are of another land.
Junkyard.
World.
Galaxy.
Shut up! Anyways, we were abandoned by pirates, and we need something really good to kind of help us get back on our feet, you know?
Yeah, like death sticks.
Yoda need death sticks, he does.
What?
Where's the money so I can harass Flanders?
Well, damn. What even is the currency?
Do you guys take credits?
No!
Well, do you guys take shrooms, perhaps? They do make it pretty big.
No!
What about V-Bucks?
No!
What about the diamonds?
No!
Then what do you want from us?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
One health potion coming right up.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That was literally a diamond! We just gave you a diamond! And
Marge!
you just gave it to us!
This guy's crazy!
Why?
Marge!
Wait,
Please!
wait,
He's coming to kill me and take my donuts! Ah!
Ah!
Yeah, it works, but just make sure you have rupees. This island is very lively and has a great vibe. Dragon Roost Island, home of the Rito, the descendants of the Zora, is a large volcano and it has a large dragon, the spirit of the sky Valu, and a load of planet bombs. That sounds very similar to Death Mountain, right? Well, yes, but it's not officially Death Mountain, and on the Zelda wiki it states that it was previously Zora's domain, which makes absolutely no sense since this is clearly Death Mountain.
Well, here's the thing. If that's Death Mountain, which it has to be, then what happened to the Gorons?
Did they just become extinct? Did the Gorons and Zora fight for survival? Now, there are a couple actual Gorons in the game that do resemble Gorons, but they are hiding it. And yeah, there's a lot of questions, but in Phantom Hourglass, there is an island that is inhabited by Gorons. But that was after this game was a thing, so I don't understand. I don't get it. Forest Haven, home of the Koroks, descendants of the Kokiri from Ocarina of Time, and the Great Deku Tree, who seems to have had a rough few years, is actually a new Deku Tree, as the original from Ocarina of Time died long ago, aka the beginning of Ocarina of Time. This island is basically a forest, and it contains magical water which can substantially heal Link, and is also used for a pretty major side quest in the game where you have to go around the Great Sea and find 8 different tree sprouts and water them down with the magical water. Now, here's the problem. The magical water can only last for 20 minutes outside the forest domain, and then it will just turn into normal water. So you have to water all 8 of these tree sprouts within 20 minutes, which, yeah, that's not a lot of time considering you have to go around the Great Sea and find all these different spots. These are some of the major islands Wind Waker has to offer, and the ones with the most substantial content. There are many other really cool islands worth checking out, but honestly, most of the 49 islands are very small, and some even, well, basically just filler because a good amount of them are just, for example, fairy fountains, which do return and...
Oh, come on! They're not sexy anymore! I want a refund!
These fairies grant Link the ability to carry more stuff, like more bombs, arrows, and rupees. There's even islands that don't even let you walk on them. I mean, I wouldn't want to walk on this volcano either.
Ah!
This is my biggest complaint with the Great Sea. Too many nothing islands, and only a few actual big, substantial islands that have anything worth doing on them. I do wish some of these islands contained more content than they actually do, and to be honest, for what they could accomplish with the technology of the time, the Great Sea is still highly impressive. Oh, and I can't forget that if you want to fully complete your map, you gotta feed fish in every single chart, which can be quite tedious if you're focusing on that. Yeah, I didn't know fish were map painters. But hey, they'll give you some small fries. But aside from some of these issues, the world is very fun to explore, and the graphics make that experience even better because, oh my god, is this game beautiful. The fact that this game is over 2 decades old and it looks this good is mind-boggling. The cartoony style allows for more possibilities, like expression, because Link's expressions and reactions, as well as his animations, are so natural and fluid. Hell, Link will even look at things with his eyes. He makes a lot of goofy expressions in this game that do look really nice because of the cartoony style. You thought Donkey Kong from Bonanza was super cartoony and expressive? Well, Wind Waker did that first 22 years prior. Yeah! The style also allows for more creativity in designs for the world and its characters. Like, look at all these awesome designs. I could sell them like I'm a 17th century French trader along the St. Lawrence River. Even the Great Sea is absolutely stunning, especially with how much the colors pop, along with the lighting, thanks to the cell shading. Now sure, things may not look super detailed because the game isn't aiming for realism, like this game, which, yeah, we'll get to you, and that might make things look very simple and flat. But I do think it looks really good and is the entire point of the style and has made this game age super well. Wind Waker was also one of the first major games to where the box art and promotional art matched and equaled the game's graphics. I mean, it's basically one-to-one, and usually box arts would look nothing like the actual game. You got exactly what you paid for.
Oh yeah! I can't wait to play GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. It looks just like the movie on the box, look at it. It looks really good. Let's go play it. Oh yeah! I am so excited to play this game, and hopefully it looks amazing and looks just like the movie, and hopefully I even get scammed. Here we go. Okay, this game is really good, but what the hell is that? I got scammed!
You got scammed. Ow!
You should have been on Please Donate.
Thank you for giving me your money. Here's your game, and you totally didn't get scammed.
I probably deserve that.
Now on to the gameplay, and we can't talk about gameplay without our handy dandy GameCube controller, right? Right? Yeah, of course I'm playing Wind Waker on the Wii with the GameCube controller. In another timeline, I had to give my GameCube controller to Bill Gates to repair it after it got destroyed. Yeah, let's not talk about that. So Bill Gates decided to get rid of that Smash logo and add a giant X. And BAM! X-Cube controller. Pretty sick, right? It's just an Xbox controller. Yeah, so when I played Wind Waker on Dolphin, I actually used an Xbox controller since I didn't know how to connect GameCube controllers to my laptop. So I used an Xbox controller for convenience, and yeah, it felt great, but obviously not the intended way, but I still played it with a game controller on the Wii thanks to... Hell, the game controller is my favorite controller of all time, and I didn't even grow up with it. The controller felt great and responsive, just like my ex.
Yeah, we're back!
Yoshi.
Oh my god, Dylan! It's not what it looks like. We're just playing Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube. Please, Dylan. We're just trying to get competitive.
I'm done, Yoshi.
Dylan, don't hurt him! What are you doing? Stop! Yoshi!
Both controllers feel very great to use, even if one was, well, never meant to be played with this game. Since we got that settled, we can now control Link, and Link feels great to control. It's tight, responsive, and quick when walking around. Oh yeah, Link can also roll spam, just like Link Tradition, brawl through tight spaces, automatically jumping off things, which doesn't always work, like Link Tradition. Yeah, it works, but I do prefer how Breath of the Wild finally gave Link a jump button.
It took Nintendo 31 years for them to add a jump button to a Zelda game. That is just insane.
Oh, and he can swim in a game that takes place in the sea. Bravo, Vince! Oh, and speaking of sea, how do you expect to control the King of Red Lions? Well, it's quite simple actually. You use the Wind Waker, which changes the wind's direction. This is how you actually gain speed to move across the ocean, and you must have the sail on to which, well, no shit. The overall feeling of moving across the sea is incredible, and feels very good to play with, but it can be very annoying to have to play the Wind Waker every single time you want to change the wind's direction. And honestly, could have been more intuitive and faster to do, but honestly, it does work, just kind of feels tacked on, you know? Now, speaking of the Wind Waker, let's talk about all the items Link can use in this adventure, being an important gameplay aspect, starting with, of course, the Wind Waker. The Wind Waker, simply put, is the Ocarina of Time of this game. The Wind Waker can play melodies which all have different attributes, just like the Ocarina of Time. There are 6 songs in the game. First, Wind's Requiem, by far the most important in the whole game, is the one that changes Wind's direction. Next, the Song of Passing, which basically allows you to change the time of the day. Then Ballad of the Gales, which allows you to fast travel, and man, finding this one took years off my life. I spent so much time trying to find this melody, and I only even knew about it because I saw this giant island which you can't land on. So I thought, hey, maybe the tornado is the key.
Hello everyone, I am the Millionaire Guy, and our guest on the Philosopher is close to winning $1 million!
And we're the audience. Hello everybody.
I'm in the cartel, I already have millions of dollars.
So wise he is. Feed it to the younglings, I shall.
You are all insane!
Alright Dylan, here is the final question. How do you get Ballad of the Gales in the hit Nintendo game The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker? Here are your 4 options.
God. You're only giving me this amount of time?
Just speedrun it like it's Mario 64.
God,
It's easy.
I'm leaning towards Mr. Krabs, personally. I'm just saying, I don't know though.
Come on, you fool. It's Tanuki Soup. Pick Tanuki Soup.
Oh god, the time's getting close. Can I call somebody? Can I call somebody? Is that okay? Jordan, you're watching this. I need help with
call
this
somebody.
What do you think it is?
It's Tornado! Pick Tornado!
God, there's like 3 seconds left. Alright, Tornado! Tornado is my final answer.
Gosh, what can I say? Well, Dylan, you are going back to 19th century Prussia, and this is the final answer heard all around the world. He just won $1 million!
Fake news! That's my money! I win! I win! I win! I win!
Which I was actually right, yet I still spent so much time figuring this out. Not even the greatest mappers could work this out. Unless they just look up and, yeah, shoot the cloud, and then the guy bestows you the melody, which I could now travel to that giant island, which does become important later for another item. Next, the command melody, which allows you to take control of different things, which, more on that later. Then the next 2, the Gods of Area for Earth and Wind, just unlock the Earth and Wind temples. These melodies are all played in a similar fashion as the Ocarina of Time, hitting the correct order of buttons and unleash. These are really fun to mess with, even though, again, it can be kind of tedious, especially when you have to use them all the time. For the most part, if you like the Ocarina of Time from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, you'll most likely like the Wind Waker as well. So yeah, there's a lot more items as you can see here, so let's just speedrun this. Grappling Hook, which allows you to grapple branches or hooks. It can also be used to collect chests from the sea and steal items from enemies without consent. Way to go, Link! Next, the Deku Leaf. This leaf possesses a lot of magical power and abilities. First, you can blow it to send a gust of wind. This is used for puzzles or taking out enemies. Next, you can glide with it, and funny story, when I first obtained it, I was so scared to jump off because I didn't know how to use it, because I didn't even read what it told me, so yeah, I kind of deserve that. Then the Boomerang. This item is a boomerang. Yep, a boomerang, and no, not the Scooby-Doo network.
Wait, what? Fuck!
This item allows you to aim and hit targets like lights, eyes, or even yourself. Wouldn't recommend that. Next, the Hero's Bow, which is a bow, allows you to aim and shoot arrows, which can be very useful. It can also later on use fire and ice arrows, which is that very important item that I was talking about that you find on that big island I mentioned earlier. And of course, the light arrows, which help you actually defeat Ganondorf in the very final boss fight of the game. So yeah, very useful item. The fire and ice arrows are actually required to obtain before you get these next items. The first being the power bracelets. These allow you to pick up giant objects with those spaghetti arms. The second of these items being the Iron Boots, and no, they don't let you go full on Iron Man, but they do allow you to move through wind and activating springboards. Next, the Skull Hammer. This hammer allows you to smack down exclusive plates and enemies. Next, the Hook Shot. The Hook Shot allows you to hook onto things and reach farther away areas. There's also the Magic Armor. This armor protects you from enemy attacks, but instead, you lose rupees. I'd rather lose my life than let anybody take all my wealth. And then there's bombs. No shit. Oh, and there's bottles which allow you to hold things like water, kidnapping fairies, which sounds very familiar.
I even made a retrospective about it.
And even potions. I wonder what this potion does.
Oh god! I'm expanding! Ah!
Link also holds a special shield that is basically an item like the rest. That being the Mirror Shield, which absorbs and deflects light, which can harm enemies and solve puzzles. Really cool, as it's really more than just a shield. Link also holds some other items which some will get to later. First being the Pictobox, which allows Link to take black and white pictographs, and the Telescope, the first item you get, which allows you to zoom in and look around. Wait, is that Napoleon? Guess we found St. Helena! All these items help enrich the gameplay experience and are very fun to use. Many of these return from past Zelda games and are developed well aside from the Iron Boots, which don't allow you to sink through the water anymore. Now all of these items can be pick and choose, having 3 at a time, just like in the Nintendo 64 games. You can select any item to a button, and I have always loved this mechanic as you can customize your main loadout and not have it feel too bloated, as well as being able to freely pick what buttons you prefer for certain items. The one flaw I have with this is the fact that you have to go back to the menu to select your item and then use it, which can be very repetitive, especially in sections that require a bunch of items, and especially the sail, which I wish was just part of the boat, but to be fair, the boat would just float away, leaving you stranded, which is something you do not want. Now, thankfully, this whole situation is nowhere near as bad as it was in Ocarina of Time, but it can be still fairly annoying having to go back to the menu and, keep getting items that you'll need every 5 seconds. Now on to the combat, and the combat is very great in this game, and is a nice evolution to Ocarina's combat. The combat can be summed down to this: use sword, attack enemy, block attack with shield, attack enemy again, then finally kill enemy. Absolutely fucking revolutionary.
Alright, let's go! Shield, sword, you can't take me down, Miyamoto. I am the one who knocks.
And I am Miyamoto Kong. Barrel throw! Now that is why you don't underestimate my power, fool!
Okay, in all seriousness, there is more to the combat than what meets the eye. No, not kidding. Literally an eye. Link possesses a variety of moves, like a spin attack. Now that is a great move. And there's even a more powerful hurricane spin attack, an even greater trick, which lasts for 5 seconds. Gosh, that's much longer than me. Then a jump slash, which puts you face first into harm's way. Parry attacks, which are done when you perfectly counter using the A button, and it's very effective, especially against the Dark Knight enemies, which are basically knights, but due to them being exposed on the back, they make these guys seem way easier than they actually look. This actually leads to the strategy element of Wind Waker's fights, because many types of enemies require unique ways of defeating them. Let's go over some examples. First, the Armos Knights can only be defeated by throwing bombs into their mouths. Then Magtails, which can only be defeated using a sword or grappling hook, but these guys can also curl into balls, which can then be used for puzzles, or just one-shot kill them if it's hunting season. And many more enemies which can be fought in dynamic ways than just swinging your sword, making the game feel much more engaging with the unique encounters. Hell, you can even use your environment to defeat enemies, like finding blades, or sticks, or spears. etc. to fight with, which I think is really cool. The combat also sails the 7 seas, as you can fight using the bomb cannon and other long-range items, which can make the sea feel much more alive and engaging, especially as there's unique enemies that are exclusive to the Great Sea.
So the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
Like these shark dudes, who are extremely annoying and will follow you for miles on end. I don't know what their problem is. Did I drop like any blood or whatever? Did they lose their mind because of that? I don't know. Oh god, shark bait! No! Oh! Now, the enemies of the Wind Waker also do drop a plethora of junk, like all of these jellies, and then Bokobaba seeds, which make potions, then golden feathers, which when you collect 20 of them, do give you a piece of heart. Then the Knight's Crest, which sure looks like the Holy Roman Empire. By collecting 20 of these, you unlock the Hurricane Spin. And then the Skull Necklace, which if you give 20 of them to Maggie's father, you will be given a treasure chart.
Oh yeah, I haven't exactly explained what a treasure chart is yet.
Treasure charts are basically maps to find different secrets throughout the ocean. It's as simple as that. And finally, the Joy Pendants, which we're going to save that for later. Trust me, you'll see why. Now on to the dungeons, and you can't have a Zelda game without dungeons, right? Looking right at you, Breath of the Wild, the Divine Beasts were barely dungeons. The Wind Waker consists of 6 dungeons: Forsaken Fortress, Dragon Roost Cavern, Forbidden Woods, Tower of the Gods, Earth Temple, and finally, the Wind Temple. All of these dungeons present unique challenges and puzzles that makes each one stand out. Let's start with Forsaken Fortress, which isn't really like a traditional Zelda dungeon. You go to this dungeon twice, and both times are completely done differently in how you engage the dungeon. The first time, you have to play stealth because you lost your sword, so you must be very strategic on where you go and what to do. If you get caught, you actually get thrown into a jail cell. I'm not kidding. About time Link faces his crimes and injustices on the people of Gotham City. Look at Link killing all those bats. Time for Batman to send his ass to Arkham Asylum. Hopefully he doesn't break out like everyone else does in Arkham. And he broke out. Shit. So yeah, when you're in jail, you can actually find a way to escape, which, in my case, I took way too long to figure this out. Now, the second time you visit Forsaken Fortress, you can actually go in aggressively and take everyone out. That's simple. This makes Forsaken Fortress a very unique dungeon, as you visit it twice in completely different playstyles, which I really like, and it shows how far you have come from that first time you visit Forsaken Fortress to the second. Next, Dragon Roost Cavern, the first normal dungeon of the game, is set on Dragon Roost Island. This dungeon is very similar to Dodongo's Cavern from Ocarina of Time, both being set in volcanic caverns and filled with bomb plants to blow up parts of the dungeon. The coolest part about this dungeon is the use of lava. Yes, lava, which you would think would only be used as a hazard, right?
Whoa, whoa, let's rewind this and let's zoom this in. Watch this. You're telling me this guy just embraced the lava? He didn't even try jumping away. He just stood there. Like, what kind of dumbass would jump into the lava? Who is he, Micah the Wise? Micah, no. Micah, do not touch the lava.
I'm sorry, Dylan. I have to touch it. I'm Micah the Wise after all.
No!
Well, it's also used to traverse by throwing water bombs into the lava.
I'm one with the lava, and the lava is with me.
Yeah, let's
No,
go!
my fire, my flames. Wait, Dylan, don't jump. That hurts.
These can also be used on volcanic geysers as well. Oh, and this dungeon is the first dungeon that introduces the grappling hook, which becomes very crucial to proceed through the dungeon. Now, like in previous games, you must find 3 items. First, the compass, which exposes the dungeon's chest and dungeon boss. The dungeon map, which gives you the full map of the dungeon. And finally, the boss key, which lets you unlock the boss door, so you can fight the final dungeon boss. Next, the Forbidden Woods is the evil twin of the Forest Haven, and that ages very well because, funny story, At the start of the dungeon, you are supposed to throw this nut at the blue eye through the door, and my dumbass didn't even think about doing that. So I tried slashing it, rolling it, blowing it with the Deku Leaf, knocking it outside. You think that's bad? Oh, my dumbass thought I had to throw the nut into the magical pot, which is actually just a fast travel system throughout the dungeon. I was completely lost, like in the Lost Woods, which this is literally the Lost Woods, but it's an island in the middle of the fucking ocean.
Seriously, what am I supposed to do?
You just had to pick it up and throw it. Yeah, that's haunted me ever since. Now, finally, once in the dungeon, you will be making lots of use with the Deku Leaf, like moving these platforms or gliding through the dungeon, especially with the help of flowers that launch you up. These are very fun. Oh, and speaking of flowers, this dungeon also has this flower boat section near the end, which was really cool, and I fucked up on. Oh, and here's another funny story about this dungeon. There's a section where you must throw a bomb to destroy a wooden wall. Now, that doesn't seem like an issue, right? Well, here's kind of what happened. So you have these snail tails. Yes, snail tails. That's what I'm calling them. You're welcome.
See, there you go, Aonuma. New enemy name for ya.
Actually, you're wrong. They're called vines.
Shut up!
Wow!
See, now I made a name. Now no copyright law in the universe will stop me. Okay, so these snail tails create a maze for Link to travel through, and they always respawn or despawn, depending on your distance. So my idea was to carry the bomb through the maze, which didn't exactly work, but then I finally got it once I got a little closer to the snail tails. I'm pretty sure you were supposed to be using the leaf, but anyways, yeah, pretty fun dungeon. But after that, our next dungeon is the Tower of the Gods. This is where Link must test himself to prove his worth to the gods, so Hyrule becomes accessible once more. This dungeon is the Water Temple of the Wind Waker, and I still have PTSD over the Water Temple, but thankfully the Tower of the Gods is a lot less annoying overall. In this first section, you have to move around using the King of Red Lions, and moving around sucks due to a lack of wind, which obviously makes moving around with the King of Red Lions pretty annoying. So yeah, this first section, not a lot to talk about, it's just very slow. In the next section, you must guide 3 statues, all of which are in different locations, which means each offers their own unique challenge, with the goal of meeting them all in the center altar. This is where you learn the command melody, which allows Link to control the statues. This section is fairly challenging, but not too bad, which is a lie.
Breaking news! Dylan the Philosopher has just committed a terrible act by lying to his audience. Fat-ass frogs, dumbasses, and OGs are in immense pain by this tragic revelation. We have someone on the line known as Kaiser. So, Kaiser, what are your thoughts on this tragic revelation?
Thanks for having me on, Yoda. I think it's a horrible thing. I think you should be canceled. Yeah, it's bad. Very bad. Very bad.
You look awfully familiar. Can you take that funny mustache off, please?
I'd rather not. I'm not really comfortable taking it off.
Do it now.
Okay. Fine.
Oh my God!
Look! I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie to you guys. I'm sorry.
Take it.
Seize him!
Now.
Let's go! Move it!
I spent a lot of time on this area. The statues following you can be really annoying. The most difficult part of this dungeon was balancing the statues on these platforms, which move based on weight. As you notice, there's a wall you blow up, which was difficult as the bomb didn't blow up at the right time or fell into the water. Then I finally got it, discovered a room, and nothing happened. So I bring a statue, which took 50 tries to fit through the passage, and again, nothing happened. So eventually, I went to the next room and found a controllable statue. So I decided to bring that over to that nothing room after 50 attempts, and nothing happened. All I had to do was bring the statue back to the center room.
Yeah. I'm stupid.
Then the third floor has you solve a puzzle to obtain the boss key. Then you make your way to the boss outside, which was very cool. Overall, a pretty decent dungeon. Now, finally, the Earth and Wind Temples. These dungeons both share a common mechanic, that being having to carry Medley and Makar through the dungeons so they can become the new sages of Earth and Wind. And yeah, this is pretty damn annoying. First, let's start with the Earth Temple, and this dungeon has Medley accompany you. Not just that, but using the command melody allows you to take control of Medley, letting you play as her basically. Yeah, these guys are Link's puppets basically. Medley is important throughout this dungeon, especially because she can fly, but also can reflect light back, especially important for this dungeon because its primary gimmick is light and mirrors, and the puzzles are designed around that mechanic. Medley even becomes Medusa and turns enemies into stone. That's crazy. Honestly, if it was Rosalina instead of Medley, I would willingly look into her eyes and turn into stone, because it's Rosalina. I had to say that. One issue I have with taking control of these characters is, again, you have to always play the melody over and over again, and it can get very repetitive since you switch back a lot between the characters. Eventually, you unlock the Mirror Shield in this dungeon, which gives you the power to reflect light, creating new puzzles like this one, for example, where you need to reflect the light onto this stone, which took a while because you have to properly angle the characters, but I finally got it, but still, man, felt kind of buggy. Then near the end, you have this massive puzzle where you get all the mirrors lined up to reflect the light to the Skull Kid. And I didn't mean to give the hero a time PTSD. This puzzle was pretty solid looking back, but it made me nearly break the Geneva conventions. Overall, pretty good dungeon, especially with its classic spooky Zelda vibe, especially with these guys. Also, this dungeon was how a random British woman from the United Kingdom discovered me and wants me to do a 100% Pokemon marathon. She must be bluffing. It's a British thing. They're always miserable. Then we have the Wind Temple, which is okay, I guess. I don't really have as much to say about this one compared to some previous dungeons. This time you are accompanied by Makar, and you are separated for a lot of it. Makar can fly just like Medley. This dungeon is basically similar to the Forbidden Woods, but it's more factory-like instead of forest-like. It has been industrialized. Those poor Koroks working 24-hour shifts with horrible pay, like it's early 20th century Chicago. Wind is a big mechanic of this dungeon, and it's used fairly well for the most part. Though I'll admit this is probably the most annoying dungeon, having to constantly move Makar around, especially with that giant middle section of the dungeon, which has a lot of different layers to it. It's kind of annoying. And then you also have these very monotonous wind segments. The biggest positive I will give this dungeon is the diversity in items you use, making a bunch of them incredibly useful, like the Deku Leaf, and then the Iron Boots, both made to deal with wind, which leads to this dungeon's new item, that being the Hookshot. And as we talked about before, the Hookshot is very useful in helping you traverse around different areas, and that is no exception in the Wind Temple, as you'll be using the Hookshot a lot, especially as there's dedicated targets to grapple onto. So, very fun item and very useful in this dungeon. This dungeon is just okay, not outright terrible, but definitely the most forgettable and annoying for me personally. Overall, the dungeons of the Wind Waker are really fun and challenging. From combat to puzzles, each dungeon stood out and introduced something new, which I really enjoyed. And this is coming from a guy who used to always use a guide for the entirety of A Link to the Past. I think he has no right to talk about dungeons.
Hey, cut me some slack. What got me through this game was the betrayal of Anne Frank right there. Okay, maybe not.
Now let's talk about the bosses of the Wind Waker, which you fight at the end of each dungeon. And these were pretty fun, and also excruciatingly painful. Each boss offers a unique challenge, often in which you must use the new item from that boss's dungeon, like the grappling hook for Goma of Dragon Roost Cavern, or Kalidemos of the Forbidden Woods, in which you use the boomerang. Most of these bosses were really easy, like Gauden, who is literally the guy from Shifting Sandland, and all you have to do is shoot his eyes and plant bombs in his mouth, or Jahala of the Earth Temple. Jahala is kind of cool. You get to reflect light at him, pick him up, and throw him at a herd of spikes, like a bowling ball, and then kill all of his clones until none are left. But still a fairly easy boss, and makes good use of the Mirror Shield. Then the Helmera King, the very bird that started this entire mess to begin with, is also a boss and is fairly easy. He just flies around and you have to hit him with the Skull Hammer in the head when he tries to peck you.
Somebody help! I'm being pecked!
Dylan's down. What are we gonna do?
Summon the dark side. I must. Use Force Lightning to burn him. No! My Force Lightning broke his head.
Yoda just got Kenobi'd.
Don't worry, I got this. With my long jumps, it'll be no problem. That's why they call me the Green Man. Let's go. Come here, you stupid bird. Yahoo! Oh no!
Oh no, what am I gonna do? I'm alone.
On your left.
Wait, Jordan, is that you? We're saved.
Just on time.
Fire! I carried you, Dylan. You are saved.
Unironically, the hardest bosses for me were Goma and Mogera. Goma, who I mentioned earlier, is the first boss in the game, and I struggled to figure out what I was supposed to do, and I died countless times, and I had to look it up and sell my dignity in the process. All I had to do was look up to use the grappling hook, which is what lets you proceed with this boss, but after I figured that out, this boss was a piece of cake. The worst boss and the hardest boss, in my opinion, was Mogera of the Wind Temple, which is another reason as to why I don't really like the Wind Temple that much. So basically, the goal to defeating Mogera is as this. Use the hookshot to grab his tongue and slash it, which seems easy enough, right? Not exactly. You have to get super close to Mogera, and if you are too close, he will digest you and spit you out. There's also quicksand in the arena, so you are actively being forced towards Mogera, making it harder to move around. Oh, and that's not all. He also spawns in his children to try and kill you, making it even more chaotic and much harder trying to get his tongue with the hook shot. But yeah, all of these combined make for a pretty frustrating boss, and you have to fight him twice. Yeah, not once, but twice. So this leads to the game's final dungeon, technically, sort of. It's kind of different though. That being Ganon's Tower. For a good part of it, it's basically a boss rush where you have to fight 4 previous bosses, Goma, Paidemos, Jahala, and unfortunately, Mogera. All of them are exactly the same from the first encounters, so nothing special here. Ganon's Tower is pretty simple for the most part, and you get to fight tons of Phantom Ganons. And I must say, I really do like the style of these guys. They look so cool. Ganon's Tower also introduces the light arrows, which are the most powerful weapon in the game. At the end, you fight Puppet Ganon right before the final confrontation with Ganondorf.
You know how I just said that Mogera is the hardest boss in the game? Well, that's not entirely true.
Oh, Puppet Ganon! I hate you so much. Alright, in this boss, you first want to use your boomerang to cut the string down, which I'll admit is kind of cool, just like how actual puppets have the strings. This is easy, and your main hit point for the boss is the blue sphere on his tail, and you have to hit it with the newly obtained light arrows. This goes on for most of the fight, just rinse and repeat that process. The worst part is that this is just the first half of the boss. We think he's dead, but no, he comes back as something much worse. He is free now and he can move anywhere he so desires, and it's an absolute bloody mess. He turns into a spider and does a bunch of spider attacks.
Oh, look at little Dylan Jr. Gonna cry?
Once you hit the blue sphere a few times, he then transforms into some snake-like thing, and this is pure hell. He moves so quickly, and if you thought his speed was bad, once you hit him, he becomes even faster, and oh my god, he is so fast. I literally could not keep up with him. His pattern is so unpredictable, so you can get hit very easily without even anticipating it. And since he's so fast, aiming to hit the blue sphere is so incredibly difficult, so you really just have to hope for the best. And thankfully, the best happened. Mulgara was hard and more infuriating in some ways, but the last half of Puppet Ganon was absolute torture. Hell, Puppet Ganon I thought was harder than the actual final Ganondorf boss fight, who was pretty easy, just need to be careful with his attacks. The atmosphere of the fight is the best part about it. The waterfalls around you, and the rain, and the awesome music make this final boss feel so epic. Zelda is actually part of this fight, and she launches light arrows at Ganon, which makes him vulnerable to your attacks. You really just want to keep holding him off until Zelda gives you the call to shoot the light arrows and reflect it with your shield, which stuns Ganondorf and gives you the opportunity to strike the final blow. This boss, while nothing mind-blowing, is a great way to end the game, especially with the incredible atmosphere like I just said. But hey, I didn't lose my mind from this boss like some other people
Maybe
I know
shoot
did.
eventually, fucking asshole.
Give me your money now, or I'll blast you. Damn it! What was that? Hey, wait! I've been foiled!
Where are we?
White and black, everything is clouded. The Force is.
We're in Silksong. We're in Silksong. We're in hell!
Calm down, Jacob. I understand Silksong was a very traumatizing experience for you, but I would say the Wind Waker is even more traumatizing.
You give me trauma, Dylan.
Say yourself now.
Why, hello there.
Who are you? Some kind of toad cosplaying as Al Capone?
Oh, he's looking to the deity.
Silence, you imbeciles! You people just ruined my big hit.
Calm down, Satoru. Nobody did a lot of bad things to you.
Calm down? Did you just say calm down to the greatest mafia boss this side of the Great Seas?
Hey, I'm sorry.
Hey, get off it!
You guys just interrupted my business. So now, I'm going to make you my business.
What does he mean by that?
Like the sound of that, I do not.
Do I get the carry?
Oh no. You guys will be sent to the mines for your next quest. The Great Triforce Quest.
Great Triforce Quest?
I'm out. See ya.
Jordan, what? No, wait! Jordan! Jordan, no, stop! Don't leave us here! No! No!
Time to get to work.
Oh, go!
The Triforce Quest, even speaking those words, can traumatize any man. This is the final quest before the end of the game, which tests all of your endurance and tenacity due to its large scale. And once you beat it, it is how you enter Hyrule after Ganondorf seals it off. I have been building up to this absolute varmint of a quest line, so let's just get right into it. The narrative here is that we have to find all 8 Triforce shards, which are actually specifically for the Triforce of Courage, which historically represents the hero being Link. So we have to collect them all to prove to the gods that we are truly the hero of time reborn, so we can access Hyrule again. But it's not that simple. There's multiple layers to this because first you need to find 8 Triforce shards, which show the location to the shards, which you can't do without the incredible chart, which shows the locations of the Triforce shards, which then you can't do because we can't decipher it without Tingle, who hopefully you rescued earlier from his imprisonment, who gives you the Tingle chart, which shows the locations of his very own island.
Well, all that I just said backwards, but all of you guys still understood that, right?
Make any sense? That is not. Very confusing, that sounds.
Mamma mia, this is way more confusing than Yoda's English. Okay, so Tingle is very important because he deciphers all the Triforce charts for the shard locations, and you have to pay him a crazy amount of rupees to even get him to decipher them. And if you think that's bad, well, apparently he is a 35-year-old man in a Teletubby costume, and he is enslaving his fellow Tingles. You monster! Since we are talking about Tingle now, let's talk about the exclusive item that correspond with Tingle, that being the Tingle Tuner, which uses the Game Boy Advance, and with it, connected to the GameCube, has multiple features, like an exclusive version of the game's map, or even Tingle talking to you, and there's so many other unique features as well. Really cool Game Boy Advance, GameCube compatibility there. Now that we have Tingle with us, let's go actually find our treasure charts, which are scattered throughout the Great Sea, and are found by doing various tasks. I won't go over every single one, as many are just found by just picking them at sea, or fighting waves of enemies in mini dungeons. Though, for one of those quote-unquote mini dungeons, the Savage Labyrinth, there's actually 51 floors that have different enemies you have to fight in them. That's crazy, though you only have to do about 30 or so to actually get your Triforce Shard that you need. And if you do all 51 floors, you get something very special and unique. A piece of heart. No! Aside from that, there's 3 specific Triforce Shards I want to cover, easily being the most dynamic as well as rage-inducing ones. Our first is located at Bird's Peak Rock, and for this one you actually get to control a seagull done by using a Hoy pair. The goal is to hit all lights on this peak, but another bird tries to eliminate you from doing so. This one was very fun because you get to control a seagull, and that's not something you really do a lot in this game. And that leads to my next point, is that it's very underutilized, but I appreciate how essential it is in this segment. Next, the ghost ship. You heard me right, a ship that is a ghost. I remember first finding it earlier in the game and being super confused at what it was, but at the same time very intrigued and wondered its true purpose and how we board it, or if you could even board it at all. So to actually do that, we had to Diamond Step Island and discover a secret underground cave with wrecked ships. How the hell did this ship even get inside here? In this area, we have to traverse it using the fast travel pods and are utilized way more than just being, well, fuck, I died from boss, get me back immediately! This section is tricky due to all the arms and incorrect pods which send you back to the beginning, and once you actually successfully prevail, you will find the ghost ship chart, which shows you where the ghost ship's location is. Once you find a ship, you board it if by enemies and even friends for the greater cause.
Hello there, Jordan.
You, what are you doing here? Get off my ship.
Well, let's just say I'm here for unfinished business and to rid of your ghostly corruption.
That sure ain't happening. Rocket jump.
Whoa! Great catch, man. That's crossing the line, Jordan.
Huh? Crossing the line? The line was crossed when you boarded my ship without my consent and tried stealing my treasure.
I'm sorry, Jordan. I had to. It was for the greater good and for the plot of the game.
Oh, screw the game plot. I'm the captain of my ghost ship, and you have dared to wrong me.
Oh! Jordan!
No, please! Don't do it! It's time to go night-night.
No!
And of course, I always carried. That's just...
And once that's dealt with, you obtain the Triforce Shard. Before we move on, I found something very fascinating about the outside background of the ghost ship. It is actually the same background as the ghost background in Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So does that mean that the ghost ship could canonically be the ship from Deep Dark Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 1? I don't know, that's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, let's not overthink it. It's just a cool little Easter egg I found. Now finally, I want to talk about the Cabana mini quest. You just heard me right. A quest within a quest within a quest. This has to be the worst part of the entire game in my experience, and it's not even close. This is one of the main reasons why the Triforce quest is so obnoxious. So what does make this mini quest so obnoxious? Well, let's get into it. The Triforce chart is inside this house on Oasis Island, and we can't go inside because this talking door needs a cabana deed, so he knows it's the master. So we gotta go get it on Windfall Island. The person we want to talk to is the teacher, and she makes us play hide and seek with a bunch of kids. This was so stupid and can take a while as these kids are pros at what they do. How did that kid get on that tree? How did this kid cross this gap? And how did that kid survive that fall? Clearly these kids are the Swiss that kick my ass at Mario Kart Wii Online. After playing hide and seek, we get a pat on the back. That's it. Thankfully, those pro kids got us covered, telling us it's the teacher's birthday, and we gotta give her a gift. So our gift is 20 Joy Pendants, which is what the Joy Pendant's purpose is. And yeah, you are kinda screwed if you don't have 20. But if you go the extra mile and have 40, you'll get the Hero's Charm, which is a special mask that lets you see enemies' health. And no, it doesn't have any crazy Majora's Mask transformations. Anyways, once you give her the 20 Joy Pendants, she'll give you the Cabana Deed. And once you make it back to Oasis Island, you'll make the door guy think you are the master, and the island is now yours. Now that we are inside, you would think that would be it, right? Oh, no. So, what you want to do next is go over to this picture of the kid and do the puzzle, and BAM! Triforce chart. No. Not even remotely correct. I spent over 1 hour on this fucking puzzle, moving this little brat's face, and the worst part is, again, it was all for nothing. What you actually want to do is look up, use a grappling hook on that hook above, which takes out the fireplace. Then you go in the hole that was inside the fireplace, which has an underground dungeon, and once you get through that, you finally get the Triforce chart. Holy shit, it's a side game. This quote-unquote mini-quest is so unnecessarily long and tedious compared to all the other Triforce charts. Like, what the hell, man? It doesn't make sense. This could have easily been way shorter and cut the stupid hide-and-seek section out, but oh well, I don't make the rules. With that said, then we have all the Triforce shards, and we can now, with the help of Tingle, find the locations of all the Triforce shards. And they must be interesting to find, right? Nope, not at all. They're all just scattered in the Great Sea, but then again, we had to go through absolute hell getting all the charts, so probably for the best, I would say. Overall, I think the Triforce quest is a little too long. Some parts of it feel half-baked, while other parts just have way too much BS going on, to the point where it's not executed very well. Though with some changes, I think the quest does have potential. Now, one final thing on the game itself. After beating the game, you unlock a second quest. That is the exact same, but with some unique differences, and is, fun fact, the only 3D Zelda game with an official second quest, which before then, the only Zelda games that had that were the original Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, but we don't talk about Adventure of Link.
Shiny, give to Yoda now.
Wait, Yoda, no!
Great job, Yoda. You're in Pixelland.
Oh my god, Zelda's dead.
What point is there now?
I don't know. Let's go find out.
Oh my god, this map is hideous! Where are these enemies coming out of nowhere? What is this gameplay? Why is there 2D side-scrolling?
What is this game even trying to be? Metroid? Final Fantasy? This game has an identity crisis. Even Wind Waker, that we've been suffering through, knew it was a Zelda game.
Coming down with the references.
Well, I'm sorry, Luigi.
Look, a town.
Oh my god, yes! Living in slimy blue! Oh yes, 900 years of using the horse has led me to this moment.
This game is way too hard. I can't even get health because Yoda went in there without us just so we can conquer the slimy booty, which is all he ever cares about. He's lost his mind. God, if only there was a way to make this game easier. You know, I mean, you know, it's harder than Wind Waker, so, you know, just make it a little bit easier, tone it down a bit. You know, maybe with some mods. That'd be pretty nice, you know?
Did somebody say Windmaker? And mods? It's Wind Waker modding time, baby!
Now to make Nintendo want to rip my guts out even more, let's talk about the modding scene for the Wind Waker. And it is actually quite substantial, which isn't surprising as Nintendo games arguably are the most notorious for having a plethora of mods and hacks to play. Wind Waker has a lot of mods, so let's cover some of what's here. Wind Waker, like most games, has mods for basically everything, from texture packs, skins, maps, etc., or just stupid random garbage like this. Who even asked for this? You have a mod that turns you into Steve from Minecraft, and it even turns all of your weapons, items, and even your boat as if they were from Minecraft, which is so sick. Then there's another mod that allows you to play as the living drug fungus himself, Toad. And oh my god, they gave him his classic concept Nintendo 64 legs. Woo! This is similar to Steve, but your stuff is Mario themed, like the bombs replacing normal bombs. Very cool. Oh, and I almost forgot, you can play as a fucking goose. Those are some character examples. You even have fucking Yoshi fucking Circuit as a map from Mario Kart Double Dash, or Twilight Princess Hyrule Field from, you guessed it, Twilight Princess. And so many more cool custom maps. Now let's get into the really big stuff, starting with the multiplayer mods, where you can actually play the entirety of Wind Waker with friends, which is heavily inspired by the Four Swords games, with the green, red, blue, and purple links. Then there is this huge Pokemon mod where everything basically turns into something from Pokemon, which I basically know nothing about despite having this Pokemon card collection. Hell yeah, I got Squirtle! But it's a very impressive mod that brings in a ton of different Pokemon elements to the world of Wind Waker. Then we have the Winds of Time, a mod that brings Wind Waker into Ocarina of Time. New models for Ocarina's characters, items, and enemies are here in the style of the Wind Waker. The world is straight from the Hyrule of Ocarina of Time as well, but in the style of Wind Waker. It's seriously impressive work for an April Fool's video. Yeah, I'm not kidding, this was originally an April Fool's prank, but has turned into an actual real project. Thanks, Big Shark. This project is still in the works, but it's really fascinating seeing Ocarina of Time in the Wind Waker style. Now you know what else is fascinating? What if you could actually see what Hyrule looked like in its entirety under the Great Sea? Well, it's happening, thanks to Wind Waker Unflooded, a huge 3D modeling project with the goal of recreating Hyrule as it could have looked like in the Wind Waker before it was flooded. This is such an amazing idea that actually combines many iterations of Hyrule from other Zelda games, like including the Great Plateau from Breath of the Wild, Ordon Village from Twilight Princess, and even Koholint Island from Link's Awakening, which is implied in Link's Awakening that it doesn't actually exist, but it's an island with an egg. Oh wait, shit, it's Yoshi's Island!
Haha, no, it's Blue Yoshi Island! Ah!
Even with the additions of all these locations from the Zelda franchise, they're all built together in this world naturally, as if they all existed together at the same time. Usually most iterations of Hyrule are different geographically, so seeing aspects of all of them together make it feel like this is the same Hyrule that all the other games would have taken place in. This project is currently still deep into development, and despite technically being a mod, it is a 3D modeling project, so it won't be playable unfortunately. Still, this is a crazy project that deserves more attention. Yeah, this game has so many mods, and I think that definitely gives Wind Waker a more profound spot in the community and a more lasting impact on Nintendo and the Zelda franchise. Speaking of which leads us to the final section, being the Wind Waker's impact and legacy. The Wind Waker had a massive impact on the Legend of Zelda franchise for how much the game would influence later titles in the series. After the game's release, the cartoonish style would remain throughout the rest of the 2000s on Nintendo's portable systems, starting with the Game Boy Advance, with A Link to the Past and Four Swords, a GBA port of A Link to the Past, with a new multiplayer mode called Four Swords that features 4 playable different colored Toon Links that were mentioned earlier. Four Swords would later be expanded with Four Swords Adventures, released on Nintendo GameCube in 2004, using the same multiplayer concept and expanding it into a larger adventure, but you still need 4 GBAs with link cables to play the 4-player multiplayer. These games did something rather unique, with them having A Link to the Past graphics, but with Wind Waker's Toon Links, and with Four Swords Adventures added atmospheric enhancements, making the game look much better. There was also Minish Cap released for the GBA in 2004, and it keeps the pixelated toon art style. The promotional art for these games would obviously clearly use Wind Waker's art style, yet they had no correlation with Wind Waker. That's how much Nintendo was really pushing that art style at the time. However, with Nintendo's next handheld, the Nintendo DS, releasing only a few weeks after Minish Cap, we are bound to see some new Zelda, right? Nope! We got Madden NFL 2005 instead. Just gotta wait another 3 years. A lot can happen, right?
Yeah, if we're waiting that much time for a DS Zelda game with the Wind Waker art style, it better actually be a sequel to the Wind Waker.
Wind Waker sequel coming right up.
What the fuck?
2007 would see the release of Phantom Hourglass, an actual full-on sequel to the Wind Waker, featuring the same Link, the same Tetra, and the same dumbasses, but with a new world to explore, along with new characters and shitty controls. Yeah, this game featured touch controls using the DS stylus, and yeah, people did not like it at all, but it was very unique and implemented better than other DS games. Looking right at you, Super Mario 64 DS, this game would retain the same sea idea and individual islands, even a DS island, making it a good sequel to the Wind Waker. Phantom Hourglass did well financially, and that led to another sequel, Spirit Tracks, released on the Nintendo DS as well in 2009. This game was similar to Phantom Hourglass, retained the same Wind Waker DS style and touchscreen gameplay, but with a new Hyrule. This game would be taking place a century after the Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. This Hyrule is experiencing its own industrial revolution with the addition of trains. Yeah, trains. Honestly, I mainly remember this game from its Smash Bros. Stage. And overall, Spirit Tracks was perceived as an improvement to Phantom Hourglass, with more refined controls and designs, but did not sell as well as Phantom Hourglass. With 2 sequels, Wind Waker technically got a full trilogy of games.
However, this trilogy was originally not going to be what we know it to be today. Now let's rewind back to 2003, shortly after the release of the Wind Waker. Now, the original plan was that Nintendo was going to develop a sequel to the game. Now, not Phantom Hourglass, mind you, but a full-on console sequel to the game. So basically, an actual Wind Waker 2. Wind Waker 2?
Well, it can't be.
More Wind Waker?
Yes, guys, a Wind Waker 2. I know you don't like it, but deal
I'm
with
loot
it.
it. Give it here.
Wait! Carbide, what are you doing? Hey! Get back here!
In August of 2003, Shigeru Miyamoto said the next Zelda game would retain Wind Waker's art style, disappointing many, thinking it would be a Wind Waker sequel retaining all the things people were very divided on, like sailing the ocean, which was a big one. Wind Waker's director Eiji Aonuma originally insisted on keeping the cel-shaded look, but did want to combat the issues people had in the gameplay department, mainly sailing, and he said, quote,
"Many players found the sea tedious. So for the sequel, we were going to focus on horseback and land-based exploration."
This would be the main goal with the sequel to Wind Waker. So the Zelda team got to work on creating a new land to explore, though with the boat gone, how would you travel through this new land? The answer would be the obvious return of the horseback, which would come with a new version of Epona. The team was very puzzled on how they would get such a small and skinny Link onto a horse, and with this idea, they actually went back to an old concept of an aging Link in Wind Waker, but was of course scrapped. Since this game was a sequel, they decided to age up Link to fit on the horseback better, but the team weren't huge fans of how the adult Link looked in the art style. This is further supported with the game's art designer Satoru Takizawa stating, however, Wind Waker 2 would have taken place in a more land-based setting rather than the sea, so that we could have Link gallop across the land on a horse, but Link's proportions in Wind Waker were very suited for riding on horseback. He was too short, and an adult version of Toon Link just did not seem appropriate either. Aside from that, there are other elements that were also being conceived for this sequel, like a brand new character you would encounter on this new land, who has a very dark and mysterious design, but even then still fits the art style. While all this was happening, Eiji Aonuma would officially reveal The Wind Waker 2 at the Game Developers Conference 2004 while talking about the history of The Legend of Zelda. He showed a timeline release map of the franchise up to that point. And wait! Does that say what I think it says?
Another Wind Waker?
More sailing.
More water?
More cartoons?
Zelda fans were not happy and felt very alienated, believing Nintendo didn't listen or care about the fans. Which is far from the truth, as the only thing that they hated that remained in the sequel was the art style. After the Game Developers Conference of 2004, things began to change, as Aonuma saw the backlash and declining sales of the original game in North America. Seeing this, Aonuma went up to Nintendo of America and asked,
"Why is this happening?"
And it all went back to the art style, of course. Aonuma became very afraid of what this means for the Wind Waker 2. Already existing controversy, declining sales, and the difficulty of innovation on the same GameCube hardware put Aonuma in a very tough decision. The entire future of the Zelda franchise was bleak, and if they continued with this direction, then the franchise would likely end. So with this revelation, Aonuma decided to cave in to what the fans wanted, as it was the last option left. Aonuma approached Miyamoto with a straight request, stating,
"I want to make a realistic Zelda."
While skeptical, Miyamoto responded back with,
"If you really want to make a realistic Zelda, you should start by doing what you couldn't in the Ocarina of Time. Make it so that Link can attack enemies while riding on his horse using the Wind Waker engine, and make your decision based on how that feels."
So development would continue off from where they were, but not as a sequel to the Wind Waker, but as a sequel to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Well, that's what it was initially, but it would have featured the hero time as an adult, but that didn't last long as they decided to do a brand new Link, though this Link being a descendant of the hero time. Having a more adult Link made for the horseback combat to become fully achievable. This new iteration of Link would have a new gimmick, that being turning into a wolf. This idea was formed from Aonuma having a dream where he was a wolf trapped in a cell. Many elements initially conceived for Wind Waker 2 would carry over to this new game, like the dark, mysterious character who would eventually become the main partner of this new Zelda game, who we would now know as Midna. This new game would also still be built in Wind Waker's engine, though modified to properly include the realism. That realism would also be inspired by the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which was being released at the time, which featured loads of mature fantasy elements.
Guys, hurry! I got my katana
I
back.
don't want to talk right away. Yoda!
Don't worry, I got it.
Alright, let's go! Ah, we made it.
Oh, hurt that did.
You ungrateful fans. We have endured so much from you peasants.
Aonuma, what are you doing here?
The bullying, the degradation, the assault, it's too much. Now we are going to eliminate who you love so much.
Let me go. Let me go. Ah!
Lisa! Whoa, Miyamoto, this is too far.
She done Dylan, she did. Letting her die? Jedi way, it is not.
Jedi way, says the guy who is with a knockoff blue Iron Man.
I'm no knockoff.
And Luigi, my creation! You are traitor!
I'm sorry, Miyamoto. You're all insane, and I'm tired of being a number 2. I'm a number 1. Let's go.
So be it, Plumber. Aonuma, destroy them! Yes, Miyamoto-san.
Guys, we gotta hurry. Aonuma's going to collapse the bridge. Let's go!
You shall not pass!
Go! Oh my god!
By E3 2004, Nintendo would finally kick ass, take names, and unveil the game once the sequel to the Wind Waker, now the game everyone waited for, which would become Twilight Princess. Everyone was extremely excited, and even Miyamoto came up on stage with a Master Sword and Hylian Shield. People finally got what they had been clamoring for the last couple years. This trailer was the earliest look at Twilight Princess, and it was a fantastic trailer and showed everything it needed to make people happy at the time. After the success of E3 2004, the Zelda team continued with development, even bringing in cut Wind Waker dungeon ideas into Twilight Princess, like the Lake Bed Temple, originally once the planned cut water temple of the Wind Waker. The game would then be shown off at E3 2005, this time with an official title, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which would release on November 19th, 2006 to critical acclaim, and Zelda fans finally got what they wanted. Twilight Princess first released on the Wii with motion controls, and being mirrored to the GameCube version that released only about 2 weeks later. This was done to make Link right-handed like most players. By 2015, Twilight Princess sold 8.85 million copies, and until Breath of the Wild was the highest selling Zelda game ever. Twilight Princess was what Zelda needed at the time, and it delivered, though without Wind Waker, this game would have never existed. Twilight Princess was definitely the Zelda game that was influenced the most by Wind Waker, but what about the next mainline Zelda game, Skyward Sword? This game was also heavily influenced by the Wind Waker, as well as Twilight Princess. Skyward Sword brought back the cel-shaded look, however, retained realism from Twilight Princess. Now, Eiji Aonuma claimed both games had no influence on the art direction, but yeah, I don't know about that. It's definitely a combo between the two. Many of Wind Waker's introduced mechanics were further expanded on in Skyward Sword, like for example, the stamina meter for sprinting, which runs out over time the longer you sprint. This concept, though slightly different, was originally introduced in the Wind Waker as the swimming stamina meter. Then you have the sky, the main hub of Skyward Sword, which is basically taking the Great Sea and raising the sea levels, engulfing the Netherlands and all that surrounds it, all the way to the sky, and draining all that water, and all that remains are just a bunch of floating islands. That is basically the hub of Skyward Sword. As you can kind of tell, the sky acts very similarly to the Great Sea. There's islands to explore, collectibles to find on those islands, and a new travel companion, a Loftwing, instead of the King of Red Lions. The Great Sky is very close to the Great Sea conceptually. However, it kind of fell flat as there was even less to do in the sky than there was in the Great Sea. It was much more barren, and people weren't very happy about that. And in general, people weren't very happy about the game itself. It was incredibly controversial. E3 2010 was the first showcase of the game, and it was a horrendous presentation of the game and its motion controls, which were its main highlight. Poor Miyamoto, he looked so embarrassed. The game would then be shown again E3 2011 and finally released in November that year with a kick-ass Zelda Wii remote. Skyward Sword, upon release and even now, remained a extremely divided game as people hated the motion controls and its linearity, which was a big problem as most Zelda games are quite open. Though it was praised in other ways, like its story, but just like Wind Waker, it was treated as a joke. They have that in common. 2011 was a big deal as it was the 25th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda series, and to celebrate we got the controversial Skyward Sword, a super amazing album of rearranged orchestrated Zelda scores throughout the series history, a 3DS remaster of Ocarina of Time, known as Ocarina of Time 3D, and in Japan, the Hyrule Historia, a big encyclopedia detailing series history, and it contains an official canonical series timeline. So during the 25th anniversary, we also got our first look at Project Cafe. I mean, the Wii U. Isn't that just a Wii accessory? I mean, it even says new controller. A controller that would plague Nintendo for the next 5 years. During this press conference, Nintendo would showcase a Zelda tech demo of what a Zelda game could look like on Wii U, obviously in the style of Twilight Princess. Now, this demo, like the demo in Space World 2000, was just a tech demo, but just 2 years later, we would get our Zelda Wii U game, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD.
Wait! This isn't a new Zelda game! It's just fucking Wind Waker again! Fuck!
shortly after the Wii U's launch in November 2012, Nintendo would hold a Wii U Nintendo Direct on January 23rd, 2013, showing off many new upcoming games for the new console, and one of these being an HD remaster of The Wind Waker. Only screenshots were shown, but people were actually really excited at this, being that this was the first true console remaster of a Zelda game and the first HD Zelda game. It was a pretty big deal. Now, why was The Wind Waker even chosen specifically for a remaster for the Wii U? Well, the team actually experimented with different Zelda games' art styles and their links in HD. Toon Link stood out the most, and they did the same thing with the game's world and realized how stunning it was. Development of the remaster would last 6 months, but that wasn't without challenges. The most substantial challenge was changing a game originally built for GameCube and reworking it to fit onto the Wii U. One of the hardware challenges was changing it from a 4:3 aspect ratio and scaling it to a 16:9 aspect ratio. So the team had to move characters around off screen so they wouldn't still show on a 16:9 screen. Though Aonuma admitted scaling the game was much easier as cel shading became a familiar concept to Nintendo by this point in time than the original development of The Wind Waker. He said, quote,
"At that time, the technique was established, but had not been used by our staff. Everyone had to do everything by hand."
This was not the case this time around, as they had a foundation and a decade of technological improvements. Wind Waker HD would be shown off again at E3 2013, highlighting new features with the gamepad. Wind Waker HD was then released through September to October of 2013 on the Wii U to critical acclaim. The game was also given a special Wii U bundle. Now, Nintendo consoles are known for their special editions and variants, but the Wii U lacked that, and the only special variant it ever got was the Wind Waker HD Wii U, a Wii U with custom Zelda details on the gamepad. The Wind Waker HD was the only Wii U game that ever got a special edition Wii U, and honestly, that's a pretty big deal. And I think we should now go talk about the differences between the two in the Library of Congress. Let's go! Now, what kind of differences are there between the two versions of the Wind Waker? I'd say the most obvious thing is the fact that it's in glorious high-definition graphics.
Yes, Communist Manifesto, I have found.
Yoda, just because it's red doesn't mean it's a communism.
Wait, this isn't it. What does that say? The Legend of Zelda and the Quest for Donkey McTrump?
Yoda, come on, it says the Wind Waker HD.
Dumbass.
In addition to Yoda being a dumbass, the game is also in a higher resolution compared to the GameCube version. There is also better lighting, although I do think the added bloom effect makes the lighting a little too much in my opinion.
My eyes!
But it still does look beautiful.
That's hot!
The game's menu is now featured on the gamepad, where your inventory map and tingle bottles are stored. Aiming your weapons now feature motion controls, and you can now even use the gamepad to play Wind Waker melodies. So overall, pretty nice gamepad functionality, even if not being revolutionary. Like most Wii U games. But it does make things a bit more seamless when you're going into your inventory. The controls also aren't inverted on default like they were on the GameCube, so that's pretty nice. There's also new items that were added, like the Swift Sail, which makes you speed through the seas quicker, and the Tingle Tuner, which was completely removed and replaced with the Tingle Bottle, which are found in the sea, and the bottle contains Miiverse posts from other players. And you can also make Miiverse posts about the game as well. Now, if you don't know or have been living under a rock, Miiverse was basically the Twitter of Nintendo back in the 2010s. I was on Miiverse back then, and that shit was the Wild West. Then after all of that, Nintendo deleted it and broke my heart. What a shame. Unfortunately, with the shutdown of Miiverse, the Tingle Bottle has practically become useless. The Triforce Quest was made a lot easier than the original, as placements for the pieces and charts slightly altered, so it wouldn't be as time consuming. Oh, and the Water Sprout side quest was changed, with the magic water now lasting 30 minutes, making it way easier than the 20 minutes of the original. And there's also a hard mode, if you didn't find the game hard enough in the first place. These are some of the major changes that the HD version introduced, and overall, it was definitely for the better, and you can definitely make the point that the HD version is the better Wind Waker experience. Now, fun fact, my first exposure to the Wind Waker was actually the HD version around a decade ago. I used to have friends that lived right behind me, and I would jump their fence, Micah style, to get over. And I remember one time we were playing Wind Waker HD during the Forsaken Fortress. We got our asses kicked. Then we switched over to Minecraft Wii U Edition. I started trash-talking kids, then their parents heard, and I was kicked out. And then their grandma followed me and my sister home. Yeah, that was my first exposure to the Wind Waker. But I remember back then, I was really wanting to get it on my Wii U, as I was becoming a Zelda fan around 2015. But I never did, which I do not regret. As you can tell, the HD version of the Wind Waker had a pretty big impact because that's a version that many people think of when they think the Wind Waker, and it also began the trend of doing Zelda HD remasters. Wind Waker HD's success, well, in Wii U terms, did well. So an HD version of Twilight Princess on Wii U would be released in 2016, and an HD version of Skyward Sword will be released for the Nintendo Switch in 2021. These HD remasters also following Wind Waker HD and their own quality of life improvements, but not as drastic as Wind Waker HD when it comes to the graphics. Now, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD also had another purpose of existing, and that was to be appetizers during the wait of the next mainline Zelda game for the Wii U. That being Hyrule Warriors.
Fuck!
Okay, seriously, that being Breath of the Wild. This game would be shown off and delayed again, to the point where it came out on Nintendo's next home console, the Nintendo Switch, alongside the Wii U on March 3rd of 2017, and became the final hurrah for the Wii U, and the birth of the new Switch. Oh yeah, Breath of the Wild is my third favorite game of all time.
Everybody and their Japanese uncle loves Breath of the Wild. So what makes it so amazing? Well, it was the first truly open world Zelda game directly inspired by the original NES Zelda game, which I would actually disagree with. I would say the Wind Waker was truly the first open world Zelda game. I mean, you had the whole sea to explore without any loading screens unless you go into an interior. So, what kind of inspiration did the Wind Waker also have on Breath of the Wild?
Now, Breath of the Wild also brings back cel shading from the Wind Waker, and man, it looks really good, but also keeping it realistic, kind of like how they did it with Skyward Sword. But I feel like it's definitely more pronounced here. Breath of the Wild would evolve many of Wind Waker's old concepts, like a stamina meter, a full-blown glider, a successor to the Deku Leaf, enemy camps to find like in the Wind Waker. Koroks are back, with there being 900 of them across Hyrule. The Rito also make a return, and loads of other Wind Waker references. Hell, even sailing the seas is back, although a bit more unorthodox. Wind Waker in many ways really helped push the idea of a huge open world, and it was thanks to its whack at it that gave way for it to be fully realized in Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, I don't like Tears of the Kingdom, pulls those same influences with some new ones sprinkled in there. A major reference is Tears' Wind Temple, which holds tons of Wind Waker references, like wind being the main gimmick, well, and because it's in the name, as well as the boss being called Kogera, which is strikingly close to Mogera from the Wind Waker, the cherry on top being that this is the temple where its progression involves around the Ritos, which, again, were originally from the Wind Waker. Now, as you can tell by now, the Wind Waker had a huge impact on the Legend of Zelda series, and it would not have been the same without Wind Waker and its influences. Outside of the main Zelda series, Toon Link would even appear as a playable fighter in the Super Smash Bros. Series, starting with Brawl in 2008, and Toon Link in a realistic art style is bloody horrifying. Oh my god, who even thought that looked good? Despite his uncanny appearance in Brawl, he would continue to appear in every Smash Bros. Game, solidifying himself as being worthy to be his own fighter, separate from the normal Link, just like young Link, representing that he is an important version of the character. Over the years, the Wind Waker would become a cult classic, with many considering it one of the greatest games of all time and one of the best Zelda games. As the late Satoru Iwata put it, to that point, I think a part of the reason that the sentiment for the Wind Waker is increasing is that people have now seen both Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, and have realized that the Wind Waker did have its own appeal. Showing that over time, with games like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword having their own styles, it made people appreciate the Wind Waker more. Despite the Wind Waker becoming a beloved title, Nintendo would never re-release Wind Waker HD or even Twilight Princess HD to the Nintendo Switch, despite almost every first-party Wii U game getting a port to the console. However, in 2025, that would not stop the GameCube version from getting re-released, as the Nintendo Switch 2 would come out and the Wind Waker would release as a launch title for Nintendo's new console via GameCube Nintendo Switch Online, giving an entire new generation of players the ability to play this iconic game.
But it's still not the HD version. What a shame! Right, Jordan? Oh, right. He's dead.
In conclusion, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker is a game that revolutionized Zelda and expanded upon what its predecessor set while still being its own thing. This game took big risks with its concept, its gameplay, and its art style, and for the longest time, hated by fans because of that. However, that art style that people hated so much would define Zelda for a decade, an art style that has become absolutely timeless. This game would become one that truly stands the tests of time, and I can't wait to see where the game's legacy goes from here.
You are a witch! Make us true gods!
No, I refuse. I want my blue Yoshi!
Well, you aren't getting any blue Yoshi.
It's over, Miyamoto. The retrospective is done. Now let us out of here.
What? You guys made it? Miyamoto-san, this is not good.
We have been through one hell of an adventure talking about this game.
Yeah, this is worse than Silk Song.
And the fall of the Soviet
And the fall of Constantinople.
Alright, enough chatter. Aonuma, unleash the beast. Hi, Miyamoto-san. It will be done. I am the God of Zelda!
What the hell is that thing?
Unleash my wolves!
This is insanity!
Catching up, Mace.
They're swarming me! I can't get up! It's Lizzy Kizzy time! Come here, Aonuma! Bring it! Here! A treat! Oh my, yes, tasty! Breath of the Lizard Grill Pound!
It's over, Miyamoto. Surrender.
I will not surrender after all the harm you did to me! Miyamoto-Kong, attack!
He's coming for me! Ah!
Oh shit!
Time for you all to perish! I am the god of Nintendo! I am the god of gaming! I am video games!
And we have a Micah.
Boogity boogity boo.
What? Ah! I can't move! Damn you all! I will never let you get away with this! No! Here you go, witch!
Thank you, lizard man.
Are you okay, Luigi?
Yeah, I'm alright. I've had a worse happen to me.
Looks like they're defeated.
My heroes!
Hey!
My
Hey!
saviors!
Get off me! Hey! Go!
Wait!
You cheated on me
I'm
with Blue
sorry.
Yoshi. I can't let that
It
go
was a
unopposed.
mistake!
What do we do with her?
She has the power to figure it out, she can. She is a witch after all.
Yeah, that's very true. Lisa, since you obviously are a witch and have magical powers, please send us home so we can finally get out of this freaking retrospective.
Fine. Return home!
Come on, guys!
Witch! Over here!
Oh my god, Blue Yoshi!
Quiet! Don't need you waking up Miyamoto! Well, let's go! We have a lot of work to do!
Home sweet Minecraft Wii U OG world.
Now, that was a crazy experience.
Yeah, that game gave us a lot of headache.
I got my slimy booty at least.
Yeah, even despite that, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is a game that is truly a valuable piece of Zelda's long history, and honestly, gaming as a whole. And I believe it is one of the best Zelda games. It did so much for the franchise, introduced so many new concepts and mechanics that really expanded the formula, and is a very, very memorable experience. And honestly, I've become much more fond of the title than in the beginning. And I think the lesson learned here is never judge a book by its cover, which is pretty damn cliche if you ask me. But still, my point still stands.
I think I'm going to be seasick from now on.
Doing the link wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, that is very true. He even saved my life from Jordan. And, actually, I do wonder if Jordan did actually die. Well, I don't know. We should probably go head back and go decide what's next. Let's go, everybody.
Do Bombad Racing. Yoda, pro racer he is.
I'm still so seasick from that damn game.
Alright, let's see. How about we do Seaman for the Sega Dreamcast?
Did you not just hear me say I'm still sick from the damn Hyrule Ocean?
Guys, why can we not just ever get along? I mean, seriously, it's not that complicated. You know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get that.
Alright, I wonder what this could be. My god. I don't... there's nobody out here. Okay. That is very strange.
Why, hello, Dylan.
Jordan! Is that you? I thought Toon Link killed you.
I have transcended beyond this realm, and I have became a true ghost.
Oh my god. I can't believe it.
But I am not here to just say hello.
What do you mean?
Your next quest has only just begun.